Folks, this is me. This is Hiram P. Oppenhauer, Jr., citizen of the United States of America, taken by me, Hiram P. Oppenhauer, in Melbourne, the cultural center of that little country down under called Australia. Like so many young Americans, I've made it my business to travel over the globe to see how this little old world of ours has wakened up to the influence of the technology of Uncle Sam, and to be, in my own small way, an ambassador for the American way of life. I made this little film to show my friends, the folks back home, and especially Mom and Brother George, just how I got on down under. What a little country this is. Everywhere you go, you can see that the people are vibrant with sporting ability and enthusiasm. You'll notice amongst the crowds in sedate Collins Street, one or two people who are obviously preoccupied with the great national interest of sport. I think I need not point out those of them who are bent more on entertainment than on business, in this, the financial heart of a great city. Nothing is more encouraged in this country than sport. In fact, the Australian way of life is one long game. The players there are as many players as there are Australians. And in the cities, not only on the playing fields, but in the streets, on the sidewalks, and on the highways themselves, one can never go a few steps without seeing some evidence of this all-embracing athletic activity. On an ordinary day in Melbourne, there is played a complicated and a vigorous game with hundreds of thousands of players, many vehicles of quaint and antiquated types, bearing at times the mark of American technology, but overborne with the vigor of a youthful people in a bright and sunlit country. Here, well, I never really got to finding out what this really was, but everybody seemed to think it was just so-so. Australians have become famous for swimming. Their ability at this sport even provided stern opposition for the American team at the 1956 Olympic Games, which were held here. And they take every opportunity to indulge in this sport. The government, represented here by that great figure, Herb Jolt, encourages this national enthusiasm. And here we see the right honorable gentleman arriving at Parliament House under the guard of honor of the famous Victorian police force. Surrounded by a positive aura of youthful enthusiasm, Premier Jolt steps from his American-type limousine and chips a small white pill before entering the House to debate some new legislation for parklands for the people. Herb Jolt has often said that what Australians cannot do with a bill, they can do with a ball. And here he is entering the sacred portals at the top of Melbourne's Burke Street. The game goes on each morning. The commuters have an opportunity to limber up on their way to the city as they take to the road in these quaint contraptions. There are two umpires only in this game, and you can see one of them I took in this picture from the roof of a small shanty in the outskirts of town. Here they are moving in strange and mysterious ways. These people can't even understand an ordinary ball game, but the rules they manage to obey in this game are nobody's business. Here the umpire, assisted by a number of signs pointing out the rules to the people all over the city, is directing them in this most dangerous game, which they play from morn to night. No parking. There's no time to park. No standing. Just ain't safe to stand still. Watch the subtleties of this game as opponents move for position. It's so difficult to tell one team from another. I never got to understand just what these meant, but they were everywhere. As the day wears on, the game bears on. No right turn, no left turn, no center turn. I never did get to know just when it was my turn. pace is almost breathtaking at times. And now, as the score mounts up, you can see the frenzy among the players. The umpire here has a difficult task. I believe that umpires are rarely killed, but it's a miracle that more are not required. You can see the skill of the players as they move with extraordinary coordination from one side of the field to the other. Throughout the city, the signs flash and the scores mount. All over the roads, rearing into the sky, can be seen indicators to show the direction and the form of the game itself. On one corner, a ginormous electronic computer displays the rapidly mounting score reckoned in dead and injured. Actual deaths are rare, but I understand that this lack of agility incurs a heavy penalty. The Australian way of life has caught on. It has become famous throughout the world, and now a flood of immigrants is pouring into this young land from the heart of the cultural centers of Europe into a new way of life. Here at the modern seaport terminal, the most up-to-date vessels from all over the world, themselves bearing the mark of Uncle Sam's know-how, draw into the port of Melbourne, constructed by the aid of United States engineers, and finished with that immaculate precision that only Uncle Sam can offer to his friends. For the Australians are the friends of America. This could be God's own other country. And here we see some new Australians taking their first steps towards acclimatization in this brave new land. As they come, you can see in their dress and in their proud, eager bearing their gladness to be in a sunlit, brilliant country. As they pace confidently forward over the sparkling tarmac of the port of Melbourne, what can we not imagine lies before them? Look, too, at the variety they bring. Each of them with something from the old world to contribute to this beautiful, this young, this vital land. It is part of the immigration policy of this country to instill into the newcomers something of the customs of the land to which they come. Rapidly, too, not only do they begin to absorb things Australian, but their culture is assimilated by Australians who can trace their families back 2 or even 3 generations. The outstanding contribution of the migrants are graciously received and given their appropriate place in the national organization. What an exciting spectacle this is. Each new Australian brings something to offer to his new country. Little things reminiscent of all Europe become part of Australia in a remarkably short time. The best of fine art and good writing is welcomed, but literature of a doubtful character is quickly suppressed in the name of national morality and for the good of the migrants themselves. The newcomer receives in exchange the symbols of the culture of his new home, given free equipment and back numbers of sporting papers. The migrant is ready to enter his new life. Here is the stamp of freedom. Federal authorities, like those of the United States, can on occasions turn a blind eye to the seemingly hard legal enactments designed to preserve a more or less homogeneous racial structure, and newcomers arrive from all over the world. new skills and the latest building techniques introduced by these craftsmen from Europe are rapidly adapted by versatile Australians for their own major constructions. Newcomers are anxious to participate in the vast and growing program of public works. Old Australians make use of the techniques brought in by the newcomers. The modern building methods have been adapted freely and combined with that national ability to improvise, which has made Australians famous the world over. It is not only that they adopt what other people have to show them, but they adapt it with remarkable agility and speed, so that things never seen before are being seen here for the first time. Occasionally, of course, special means have to be found to introduce to the more orthodox techniques those special and highly complex technical achievements which this country is so anxious to make its own. And any small difficulty of assimilation is overcome by a ruthless remolding of the environment to enable the new thing to become a part of the Australian way of life. Here, if anywhere, is a fine base for progress. Here is the sure seat of a new democracy. With a combination of inherited skills and native ingenuity, great tasks are brought to a satisfactory conclusion, and the new team has a proud sense of achievement. The job is well done. I felt right at home in this little town. The walls of commercial and industrial establishments were often embellished with familiar American names. It was like a roll call of my National Guard platoon. One name especially reminded me of a famous American illustrator. Well, that's all for now. So long, Mom and Brother George. This was all taken in daylight. I must make another film. There are some points about Melbourne's nightlife that I should follow up.